Hi, my name is Will, this is philosophy, and this is what it looks like to take a leap of faith.
You can look all around and there's not a sign of hypocrisy. Nothing but sincerity as far as the eye can see.
It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown was released October 27th, 1966. This 25-minute special needs no lengthy introduction because it has become a staple of the experience of Halloween for many generations. It encapsulates the perfect Halloween night with its watercolored grays and blacks that give it a lovingly spooky atmosphere. The Peanuts cast of characters go out trick-or-treating, while Vince Guaraldi's low-key jazz piano sets the pace, and Ronnie Lang's flute mimics the sounds of ghosts and ghouls popping out at the characters. After the kids get their candy and Charlie Brown a bag of rocks for his shoddy ghost costume, they collect back at Violet's house for an amazing Halloween party. But there is one person missing from all this fun and the traditional Halloween experience that kids yearn for, and that is Charlie Brown's best friend, Linus. He waits in a pumpkin patch for the Great Pumpkin, an entity that he alone believes in. Linus was introduced in the Peanuts comic strip as the philosopher of the group. He is shown to be intelligent and even alluded to having skipped a grade. It is normal for his sister Lucy to make fun of Linus for his blanket, calling it childish.
You think you're so smart with that blanket. What are you gonna do with it when you grow up?
However, it is strange that in this installment, all the kids and even Snoopy the dog laugh and ridicule Linus, calling him strange and even a blockhead for missing out on normal Halloween activities.
That stupid blockhead of a brother of mine is out in the pumpkin patch making his yearly fool of himself. Boy, is he strange.
And in the end, the Great Pumpkin doesn't come, and Lucy brings her brother in from the cold pumpkin patch to his nice warm bed. And the credits roll over Linus explaining his belief to Charlie Brown that the Great Pumpkin will come the next year.
Next year at this same time, I'll find a pumpkin patch that is real sincere, and I'll sit in that pumpkin patch until the Great Pumpkin appears.
There are many things that make this 25-minute cartoon great, but the thing that makes this Halloween special, well, truly special, is the faith Linus possesses in the Great Pumpkin. Linus having such strong faith that he is willing to sleep in a cold pumpkin patch makes this nearly 60-year-old special a great watch for children and adults alike, because of how it exhibits faith's importance to oneself and how it can inspire others. Linus and his decision to stay in the pumpkin patch all night show how Faith distinguishes himself as a true individual. Linus has proven in other Peanuts specials that he is not like the crowd and beats by the tune of his own drum. In the most famous Peanuts special, A Charlie Brown Christmas, Linus is the only one of the kids who knows and is concerned with the true reason Christmas is celebrated. It isn't about the presents, the decorations, or even the Christmas tree. Linus explains that Christmas is all about Jesus Christ's birth. Linus proves to be a true individual in this scene, with his profound speech about the origins of Christmas.
For behold, I bring you tidings of great joy.
Linus distinguishing himself in this scene is fitting, because in the words of great 19th century philosopher and Christian Soren Kierkegaard, Christianity is the discipline that leads us to true selfhood. Linus and his faith led him to both speak of the true meaning of Christmas and to remain in the pumpkin patch, which gifts him with true selfhood. Kierkegaard also states that the choices we make settle what we become. Kierkegaard made decisions in his life that distinguished him from the crowd, like deciding not to marry, and also being a heavy critic of the established church. Similarly, Linus becomes the individual from the Peanuts cast that millions of people know him as today because of his actions and his decisions. Linus and his faith may seem like a hindrance to him at first, but Kierkegaard would say that it has allowed him to be a leader and reach the third stage of life. The Great Pumpkin and its characters can be seen in all three of Kierkegaard's stages of life. Kierkegaard's idea of the three spheres or stages of existence goes as follows. Humans need to pass through the three phases of life in order to develop into their true selves. The first stage being the aesthetic, which is often associated with art and beauty, but Kierkegaard defined the aesthetic stage to be solely focused on sense experience. The aesthetic stage is where most of the children of the Peanuts cast reside, because in the Great Pumpkin, the children are shown to be solely immersing themselves in things like gathering as much candy as possible during tricks or treats. They find it absolutely dumbfounding that Linus would choose not to partake in this. Charlie Brown's sister Sally even lashes out at Linus because she feels cheated out of tricks or treats because she chooses to stay with him in the pumpkin patch. The aesthetic stage is completely self-serving and only aims to maximize sensory pleasures, and thus doesn't acknowledge one's role in something larger than themselves. Kierkegaard says that every individual must go through the aesthetic stage in their lives, but not to remain there, because life is greater than hedonistic pleasures. One then must move on to the ethical stage, which is when an individual sees themselves as part of something bigger. This is when the individual becomes aware of good and evil. They develop a personal responsibility and a responsibility to others. In this Halloween special, Lucy, Linus's sister, goes out at 4 a.m. to bring her brother in from the cold pumpkin patch out of the goodness of her own heart. In this scene, Kierkegaard would argue that Lucy is showing that she is in the ethical stage, because she has risen just above herself. Her motivations are no longer just her sensory desires and appetites. And the religious stage is to develop complete and utter faith in the existence of God. Once an individual like Linus has found this faith, they have reached the third stage. Religion is therefore the highest stage of human existence. Religion for Kierkegaard was the awareness of a metaphysical power in the universe. This power is transcendent, but the religion is quite personal. Kierkegaard would most likely believe that Linus is in the third stage, because the faith he has in the power of the Great Pumpkin transcends this world and everything in it. This is even greater than the ethics one has developed in stage 2. Linus may have missed out on the traditional Halloween experience, however, this allowed him to find himself in a more advanced stage of life, not as concerned with sensory pleasures. Kierkegaard said that the crowd is untruth, meaning that the third stage is one of an individual's subjective passion, and he asks us to take a leap of faith in God, which is exactly what Linus did when he chose to not follow the crowd and plant himself in that pumpkin patch waiting for the Great Pumpkin. A leap of faith is a concept that Kierkegaard also referred to as the absurd, because it cannot be quantified by any empirical means or objective fact. What Kierkegaard is asking, and what Linus from this Peanuts special is doing, is to have a faith in a personal God. Kierkegaard said that this task is the most important task to do as a human being, because only on the basis of this faith does an individual have a chance at being a true self. So Kierkegaard would probably argue that Linus proved that his faith allowed him to become a true self, residing in the third stage of life, the religious. Linus, in short, found faith in the absurd. He found faith in the higher metaphysical existence of God. Kierkegaard says that the truth is subjectivity. The single individual is higher than the universe. Linus didn't follow universal rules, he followed his faith in the absurd, which allowed him to distinguish himself by developing a personal relationship with God. The leap of faith Linus takes in the Great Pumpkin distinguishes himself as an individual, and a form of truth arrives for him that doesn't exist for the other characters. Linus commits to his own path, and as Kierkegaard says, commitment brings one back to the forward movement of life. And this commitment Linus possesses inspires his sister into action as well. Linus and his unwavering faith in the Great Pumpkin inspires his sister Lucy to be a better person. Linus falls asleep in the pumpkin patch alone, waiting for the Great Pumpkin to arrive. His sister Lucy goes into the cold to retrieve her brother in a rare act of kindness from her. The character that is usually concerned with insulting people and pulling the football out from Charlie Brown is seen helping her brother. But why is this? Well, it's because faith is infectious, and Lucy was inspired by Linus's pure, unwavering faith that left him at the mercy of the cold October air, waiting for something that was never going to come. But what did arrive was Lucy's love for her brother, Linus. And this is the beauty of faith in God. There are many verses in the Bible that touch on how faith is a gift from God that can inspire others, like Hebrews 10:24-25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Linus in his actions showcase his faith, which spurs Lucy into a good deed that shows how much she really loves her brother. What this passage is saying is that we live to help others grow in their relationship with God, to stir them up towards love and good works. We meet with each other and we encourage one another in faith. Overall, Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin is an amazing parable of faith. It shows how faith leads Linus into finding his true self, and how the cast of characters operate in different stages of Kierkegaard's 3 spheres of life. Linus and his faith inspire the most cold character, his sister Lucy, to help her brother to his bed in a rare act of love, bringing them closer to each other and to God. Linus and his faith makes a perfectly comfy Halloween special into a timeless story that will remain cherished for generations to come, because Linus shows us that Kierkegaard was right, and all it really takes is a leap of faith.